The drama surrounding the Indiana Fever's battle with the Seattle Storm wasn't just basketball. It was vengeance in motion, a full-circle moment months in the making. This wasn't a game. It was a reckoning. A silent promise forged back in August 2024 finally found its violent, beautiful release in June 2025. A basketball court turned battleground. And three unlikely heroes, Aaliyah Boston, Lexie Hull, and Kelsey Mitchell, stepped into that storm, tore down the narrative, and made sure everyone knew, you don't get to bully Caitlin Clark without paying a price. Let's rewind. August 18, 2024. A game that should have been a feel-good blowout for the Indiana Fever. Caitlin Clark was on fire, the Fever were dismantling the Storm in their own arena, and Lexie Hull was having what should have been remembered as a breakout performance. Instead, what took the spotlight that night was Skylar Diggins-Smith and a move that looked more like something out of the WWE than the WNBA. As the final seconds of the game ticked away, Diggins, walking off the court, veered toward Clark and delivered a body check. Not a bump. Not a graze. A deliberate, shoulder-first blow to the league's most high-profile rookie. All while Clark was simply trying to pump up the home crowd after a dominant win. The replays were instant. The backlash was volcanic. Fans couldn't believe what they saw. Social media lit up like a Christmas tree in Times Square. Dave Portnoy's clip of the incident racked up over 250,000 views in less than 20 minutes. And yet, what made it worse wasn't the hit, it was the reaction, or lack thereof. Diggins walked away. No apology. No explanation. No ownership. And if that wasn't enough, Seattle's own coach came out post-game acting like the victim, defending Diggins and lamenting that her team had been disrespected. That narrative didn't sit well with Clark, with Fever fans, or with anyone who knew the game. The optics were clear. The intent was even clearer. The Storm, unable to beat Clark on the scoreboard, tried to send a message with a shoulder. But what they really did was light a fire. That fire simmered for 10 months. It lived in every Fever practice, every Clark jumper, every moment the team struggled and was counted out. It lived in the eyes of Lexie Hull, who was standing right there during the infamous hit. It lived in Kelsey Mitchell's relentless workouts, and in Aaliyah Boston's growing frustration with how last season played out. Nobody forgot. They were waiting for the rematch. Waiting for the chance to say without words, "We remember." June 24, 2025. That chance finally arrived. But fate, as it often does, threw a wrench in the script. Because on the night the Fever had circled in red on their calendar, the night they wanted revenge, Caitlin Clark couldn't buy a shot. From the opening tip, something was off. The form wasn't clean. The release was shaky. The arc looked flat. Every shot Clark took, clank, off the rim, wide right, too strong, too soft. You could see it in her body language. It wasn't a confidence issue. It was just off. Her worst shooting night of the year came at the worst possible time. 3 for 13 from the field. 0 for 6 from 3. Just 6 points total. And all of it happening in a hostile Seattle arena, the same building where Diggins had delivered that infamous hit. The crowd smelled blood. They mocked her. Every missed three was a celebration. Every turnover was a party. They were loud, cruel, and confident that Seattle would bully Clark again. But what they didn't count on was that while Clark might have been quiet, her teammates had found their voice. And they were about to scream. Aliyah Boston was the first to erupt. And not just as a scorer, but as a force of nature. From the opening quarter, you could tell something had shifted. This wasn't the same Boston that teams had found ways to contain. This version had sharper footwork, better positioning, and a hunger that radiated through the screen. She was attacking Seattle's frontcourt with a level of aggression that hadn't been seen all year. Post moves, spin hooks, drop steps, Boston brought out the entire bag. She wasn't just dominating, she was punishing. Her shots weren't contested, they were absorbed and turned into easy buckets. And when the Storm tried to double her, she passed. When they sagged off, she shot. The Storm had no answers. And when it was over, Boston had notched a new career high, 31 points, to go along with 8 rebounds, 3 assists, and 2 steals. But the best part? She did it all with composure. No taunting. No theatrics. Just buckets. Just revenge. Lexie Hull followed suit, And she did it in the most unglamorous, indispensable way possible. She went to war on the glass. 11 rebounds. A number that might not catch headlines, but one that speaks volumes about heart. Hull was fearless. She was crashing the boards like a forward despite being undersized. She was fighting off taller, stronger defenders and winning those battles with pure grit. And let's not forget her scoring, 15 points to go with that career high in rebounds. It was her first double-double in the WNBA. But it wasn't just numbers. It was how she got them. Diving for loose balls. Running the floor. Getting and ones. Doing the dirty work the stat sheet doesn't celebrate, but that teammates never forget. And then came Kelsey Mitchell. The veteran sharpshooter who's seen every coverage, heard every criticism, and yet still finds ways to remind everyone, when she's hot, you can't stop her. As Clark's shooting woes dragged on, Mitchell said, "Fine. I got us." And she did. Mitchell dropped 26 points and hit 5 three-pointers. She moved into 5th place in WNBA history for most games with at least 25 points and 5 threes. That's elite company. That's legacy stuff. But more than that, it was clutch. Every three felt like a dagger. Every bucket felt like a slap in the face to Seattle's defense. She was surgical, stepping into shots with confidence, refusing to let the Fever lose. So there they were. 3 women, Boston, Hull, and Mitchell, standing in the fire, unfazed. The trio didn't just pick up the slack. They owned the game. And as the 4th quarter ticked down, the Fever weren't hanging on, they were pulling away. Final score, 94-86. A road win. A revenge win. A statement. Coach Stephanie White couldn't stop smiling after the game. She praised the poise, the communication, the effort. She called it the most complete 40 minutes her team had played all season. And she was right. For the first time, this wasn't Clark leading the way. This was a true team win. And not just any team, this was a team that had grown up, that had evolved, that had learned how to win when their star struggled. Boston's performance showed she's ready to be a primary option. Hull's energy proved she can swing games without ever needing a play called for her. And Mitchell reminded everyone that when it's time to put a team away, she can still be that closer. The Fever aren't just rising, they've arrived. This was the moment it all came together. The moment they became more than just a Caitlin Clark story.